I'd like to call the Monday, August 5, 2024 Oakwood City Council meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please, Lori?
Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington.
Here.
Mr. Stevens.
Here.
Mrs. Turbin. Mrs. Jackson.
Thank you. And do I have a report on the minutes of our July 15 regular session, work session, and executive session, and our July 29 executive session? Councilmember Jackson.
Yes, Your Honor. I have read the minutes for the dates that you mentioned, and upon review, I found them to be complete and correct, and I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, so ordered. Under status reports, we have no status reports this evening, so I'll dispense with that, and we will go to the visitors section of our meeting. We have no visitors in attendance. I believe we have one visitor on Zoom, and if that person wishes to address council, we can make that happen, correct? I didn't know, Patty Wertland, do you have any questions for City Council? All right. I do not hear, she must be muted. Okay. Well, hearing no questions from Ms. Wertland, I will declare the visitor section of our meeting is now closed. We will go to legislation, and we have an ordinance to consider a proposed text amendment of the zoning code, and that's Vice Mayor Byington.
Yes, Your Honor. This is an ordinance amending the provisions of the Oakwood zoning ordinance to include a definition of temporary outdoor restroom facilities and to amend the accessory structure regulations to expressly address the placement thereof. This is the second reading of an ordinance to amend our zoning code to address temporary outdoor restroom facilities, commonly known as porta potties. They are already permitted under the general accessory structure regulations of the zoning code, but there are no specific regulations to treat them differently than any other type of accessory structure. City staff is recommending provisions that will define temporary outdoor restroom facilities and establish clear rules as to permitted locations, durations, maintenance, and public visibility. The Planning Commission reviewed these proposed changes at a public hearing on June 5th and has recommended they be approved by Council. Council conducted a public hearing at our July 15th meeting when the ordinance had its first reading. Although not required, we are hearing it again tonight along with the second reading. At this point, I guess we opened it up for public hearing, but since there's no public.
It sounds like because we have no one here either for or against this, and we already had a public hearing, I would move that we dispense with the report from our law director and dispense with the second public hearing.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Is that okay with you? Okay. So now we have the highlight of our meeting tonight. And,
Still need to vote on it.
oh,
Yeah.
we probably ought to actually adopt the ordinance. That's a
So,
real good idea.
I will say this is the second reading of the ordinance, and I move that council adopt it tonight.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a little ahead of myself.
You did.
Okay. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington.
Yes.
Mr. Stevens.
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you. I was so excited to
Excited
hear
about
our
asphalt.
engineering report that I was trying, let's get the legislation out of the way. So tonight we have our chief engineer for the city, Chris Kuzma, and he has an important engineering report for the city. And welcome, Chris.
Thank you all. All right, just want to give you guys a snapshot of what we're working on here in the engineering department at the moment.
There you go.
There we go. So the current projects we're working on, this is a little snapshot, as I said, most notably the Far Hills Storm Sewer Reconstruction Project that has been ongoing is now complete, finally. Also notably, the ODOT Far Hills repaving project that is currently on hold, and the sidewalk curb and apron program in the business district.
Could you dim the lights, Lori?
Sorry.
Thank you.
There we go.
Better.
All right, so the Far Hills Storm Sewer project is finally complete. Thank you all to everybody that was intimately involved or just passing through Oakwood. Thanks for your patience and everything. It culminated into a successful project as far as we were concerned. So by all accounts, everything worked out perfectly. Wanted to give you a little bit of imagery from our sewer camera, what we actually fixed underground. We can't really, show you guys every day what infrastructure we're fixing underground very easily. This is an existing pipe that was on Delwood. You can see it might be a little difficult, but there are some cracks in the pipe. This is an old clay pipe. It's about to cave in. Give it another year, 2 years, 5 years, who knows how long, and we could be in serious trouble. This is another view, also on Delwood. You can see a lot of grout. This was probably from a repair in the past. Water has to convey through this pipe, and obviously a big blockage like that is an issue. So as part of this project, we came through, and this is a perfectly round concrete pipe that should last a good 50, 75, 100 years. And this, that was taken in December, so this is also on Delwood. So just wanted to show you a difference. This is what we fixed, and this is what it looks like now. If we stay on top of cleaning it, we should be good to go for the foreseeable future. This is looking into a manhole, an old manhole, also on Delwood. Water is supposed to get from our point of view in the picture to the pipe across the manhole somehow, some way. The path of least resistance is pretty unclear. The bottom of the manhole is pretty silted up and in bad shape. You can see the walls cracking, caving in. I'll show you a brand new one here. Believe it or not, this is a manhole with a nice channel. You can see the water flowing easily right through, and just another snapshot of what we were looking to improve here in Oakwood. This is looking up. This is pretty cool. Inside the manhole, looking up at the casting that's level with the roadway. So just wanted to show you a cool picture looking at daylight from our camera. This is on Forer on the south side, Forer Boulevard, looking northward. The darker asphalt there, that is where they trenched and placed a new pipe. You can see it cuts across the median right there. You can hardly tell they were there. I do want to note that this block of Forer is projected to be repaved in the next year or two whenever we resume our asphalt program in town, likely next year. And finally, this is Devereaux, our brand new concrete roadway looking northward up the hill. Pristine concrete roadway, should last for many years to come. This is looking southward at the top of the hill on Devereaux. Again, just another point of view. All right, the urban paving program currently is on hold. The contractor rebuilt an asphalt plant in Moraine, and as part of that reconstruction, there's a calibration period that they have to go through where I liken it to baking a cake. You have to have the perfect recipe for ODOT and other entities to approve. For whatever reason, it may or may not have been off kilter at some point during our project, so it's currently on hold until ODOT reapproves their mixture. As of now, it is 50% complete, give or take. The outside lanes have been completed, and all that's left is the inside median lanes. We hope that they restart here in the next couple weeks. Should take another 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on the weather. Sidewalk curb and driveway apron project, also known as the SCA project. A to Z Property Maintenance LLC is currently underway in the business district. I'm sure you've seen them kind of hopscotching block to block over there, closing them down one by one. The contract amount is $316,000, and we expect the project to last into September. After which, well, I apologize. This is a view of the first block that they completed. The lighter concrete there is the new concrete placed, I think, 2 weeks ago. So you can see it's a beautiful new pavement and sidewalk, and it being a prominent area in our city, it's this, along with the repaving of Far Hills, it's going to look like Oakwood again, so to speak. This is on the same block looking southward, new apron over there, and some repaired curb and whatnot. Once the SCA project is completed, A to Z, the contractor will be moving into the concrete street repair program, all under the same contract, and back to the storm sewer project area over on Devereaux. The rest of that neighborhood is concrete streets. We're going to go ahead and repair all the concrete streets all in one construction year. That way we do not have to bother those residents again for a very long time. So it's going to be a brand new neighborhood. This is an example on Raleigh Road looking up the hill to the northeast, I suppose. This is the existing pavement, a little example of what we are repairing. You can see the darker asphalt patch around the one roadway panel right there. And this is an example of some work that was already completed by A to Z, also on Raleigh looking up the hill. This is what that will look like here in a few short weeks, all the way up the hill and the remaining streets in that neighborhood. Fiber to Smith Gardens. We are currently under contract to bore from this building, City Hall, over to Smith Gardens. The entire project is expected to be right around $90,000. The contract for the conduit boring is $53,000. Stevenson Utilities Construction is going to be doing the boring, and this is to provide Wi-Fi and security cameras for the gardens. That's expected to start any day now and be complete here in the fall. This is a map, maybe a little difficult to see. The dashed red line is the approximate route that we will be boring the fiber from this building over to Smith Gardens. City Hall is over there, kind of on the bottom right quadrant, near the top of that quadrant, and then Smith Gardens is up at the top left. We will be mainly in the softscape areas, so it'll be minimally invasive, and restoration should be very, very simple, very easy. Public Works yard improvements, another project that we're working on. We are looking to replace our salt dome with a modern polyfabric span structure. So it's one of those white span buildings that has the galvanized steel arches in lieu of our current dome, round dome structure that's made out of timber. Doesn't really hold up to the corrosiveness of salt and water and all that. So we're looking to not only replace that, but expand our salt storage for years to come. In addition, we're looking to expand some outdoor storage for the smoke safety trailer that the Public Safety Department uses in exhibits at that day in May and other events like that, and also the Rotary Club's hazmat disposal storage area. In addition to that, just some miscellaneous utility materials and whatnot. The estimate is $330,000, and we are scheduled to begin likely this fall and into next spring. That's an example of the structure that we're looking to construct to store the salt. So with all of that, do you all have any questions?
Any questions for our city engineer?
Yeah, I have one for Chris. The concrete paving in the business district, has there been any issues there? I feel like that's taking a long time. They were in front of the first building there, by Peach Orchard for an excessive amount of time. You even said 2 weeks ago that was done, and they had barely at the end of last week, I think, moved in front of the newer building, next to Huntington. I mean, they seem like they're crawling, and I know there's things that come up. I'm just curious if there was an explanation as to why it was taking so long.
Yeah, that was the first block. In my opinion, that is the most difficult block, just with the one-way access off of Peach Orchard there. I think you're referring to the one by Tropical Smoothie.
Yeah.
So traffic's a little unique on that block. So it being the first block that they did, and then B, all the complications with traffic movement and everything through that area, it took a little longer than anticipated. Also, the contractor damaged a couple additional areas which weren't anticipated, so they had to then come back, reclose, re-pour the curb. So that block took a little longer. They are now on a roll. So they've done 2 or 3 more blocks, probably in the same amount of time that it took them to do that first
Okay.
block. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Other questions?
Chris, I did ask Chris earlier about the core sample. You might want to tell them that what you told me.
Yeah, so the asphalt will be cored and approved by ODOT. I think they have already cored at least a few here in Oakwood, so rest assured our asphalt will, at the end of the day, at the end of the project, it will be adequate per ODOT standards.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you for your report.
Thanks.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
It's now time for our city manager's report.
And I'll be very brief tonight, Your Honor. And I'm just going to compliment Chris. You've just heard, there are a lot of projects going on here over the past year and going on through the rest of this year. And as I know I've said a number of times over the years, no matter where we are working in Oakwood, we're in somebody's neighborhood and in front of somebody's house or their business. And there's an awful lot of time and effort put into communicating with people that are impacted by the construction. And Chris does an outstanding job of that. And it is just critically important to the success of a project. And we can have a 1 or 2, 3 week delay. And if we're communicating properly with people, that things go okay. If we're not communicating properly, we have big problems. And again, Chris does a wonderful job with that. So just want to publicly thank him. That's all I have.
And I think City Council received an email from one of the people most affected on the Devereaux side, congratulating Chris for your communication skills in dealing with the myriad issues that went with that project. So it's our largest infrastructure project in the history of Oakwood, and we appreciate all your support and efforts on that. Thank you. Okay, it is now time for council comments. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. This Saturday, the Giving Strings concert will take place. And this outdoor concert involves musicians of all ages and all skill levels. And that's really what makes it so remarkable. It brings musicians together for the sheer joy of sharing their talents for the enjoyment of others. And further, the concert reflects a culture so important to our community, that is, raising our children to take on challenges, sharing their talents with others, interacting confidently with adults, and in short, cultivating the next generation. So I want to encourage everyone to go to the Giving Strings concert this Saturday, 6 o'clock at St. Paul's. I have one other comment, too. 9 days from now, school will resume, and students and families will once again fill the sidewalks on their way to school, lugging their backpacks full of new supplies, and there'll be a sense of renewal and new beginnings in the air. As council members, we understand the emotional journey that the start of the school year presents for children and parents, being that it's a time of transition, adjustment, and growth. With the start of school, it also prompts some reflections about the significance our community places on education. We're known for the value we place on education, and we recognize it as a lifelong pursuit. As community leaders, we encourage every adult to embrace something new to learn in the upcoming school year. We know the learning is a path to self-discovery and a tool for unlocking our full potential. So with all this in mind, we want to all extend our heartfelt wishes for a good and safe start to the school year.
And am I correct to do the math? The kindergarten class at Lang is the Oakwood class of 2037. Does that sound right? To me, that's a little scary, but I think I'm right. Okay.
It'll be a fun day at Lang, though.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Turbin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, like me, I'm sure you're all enjoying the 2024 Olympics. What you may not know is that our sister city, La Vézina, was the Olympic news, and we have pictures. Last Saturday, the men's cycling event pedaled their way through beautiful La Vézanée. You may recall in 2020 we had the 50th anniversary where we honored our sister city for 50 years, which is really pretty amazing. But I wanted to also mention that it was actually a fellow council member who discovered La Vézanée. Charles Sims, when he was traveling through France, he came to La Vézanée and was just in awe of not only the beauty but the similarities between La Vézanée and Oakwood. Came back and suggested that we establish a sister city relationship with them, and here we are 54 years later. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Stevens.
Yeah, I just want to talk about a special event we have coming up. On Sunday, August 18th, we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Smith Gardens. We will start a program off at 4:30. They're bringing in Falcons for a Falcon show, Stan the Magic Man, Michael Bayshaw, sculptors will be on display. Be a lot of people, he'll have displays set up all over the gardens. And at 7 o'clock, we're going to have a program, introduce a few people, some people will talk. A lot of the members of the Smith family will be in attendance as well. And there'll be drinks served, music will be playing, should be a really nice event. So Smith Gardens, Sunday, August 18th at 4:30, with the program starting at 7.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Byington.
Well, just building upon what Councilwoman Jackson mentioned, start of school means ice cream social time. So the ice cream social will be this Sunday at Schaefer Park. It will be from 3:30 to 7 o'clock. You can purchase tickets for the chicken dinner, which also has a drink and ice cream included in that. You can get those at the OCC. Also, we'll mention that Oakwood clubs and organizations who might be interested in setting up a table at the Avenue of Organizations can contact Karen Early at the OCC.
Very good, thank you. I had the opportunity to represent the city of Oakwood at a change of command ceremony at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base last week. Lieutenant General Leah Lauterbach, who was the presiding officer, she was formerly the chair of NASIC back in 2014 to 16. She was a colonel then, and she's now a lieutenant general, so she's moving up quite rapidly in the organization of the Air Force. She is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, Surveillance, Reconnaissance, and Cyber Effect Operations, and she is working in the Arlington, Virginia, doing that. The current NASIC commander is Colonel Ariel Batung Bakal, who is leaving to go join Lieutenant General Lauterbach at the same organization in Arlington, Virginia. And the interesting thing about Ariel, besides the fact she's the smartest person I've ever seen or met, she also was an Oakwood resident while she was here. And I heard at the ceremony that she plans on keeping her home in Oakwood and renting it while she's going, essentially off to the Pentagon, and plans to return to us when her tour of duty is over. And the person that's replacing her is Colonel Kenneth Stremmel, who was here, then left for a year, and is now coming back to take over the command of NASIC. And he goes by Andy. Everybody knows him as Andy. And so it was sort of a coming home party for him, and a big crowd. It was at the Air Force Museum, and we've got some really smart people at NASIC, and it was just sort of fun just being around there and looking at everything that they're doing to protect our country, because it needs protection. So I was happy.
Just for those who don't know the acronyms, that's
yes,
National Air and Space Intelligence Center,
correct.
NASIC.
Correct. The last one I went to, they had both. I guess the Air Force has a song, the Army has a song. You don't call them songs. What do you call them? Just songs. Okay. Well, there's now a song for Space Force. And when I did the ceremony a couple times ago, they started out singing the Space Force song, and wasn't a whole lot of Air Force people up there that knew the words to the Space Force song. But when we got to the Air Force song, man, they belted it out. So
That's right.
I was just pleased to have the opportunity to do that, and look forward to continuing to to support Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and our community. So with that, our next regular session is going to be September 16, 2024, and we are adjourned.